Hi, I'm Melissa, your free range psychic. Today is June 26th, 2022, and I am going to do the much requested past life reading on Ginni Thomas and Clarence Thomas. So this is a lifetime where they were a couple as well. And when my guides were helping me with this lifetime, initially they told me some facts about them or some things about them that when I started to research, I just couldn't find anything. I just couldn't hit on it. And then a few days ago, it came into my mind again. I think somebody mentioned it in a comment under one of my videos, and I just Googled these things together, and there it was. There they were. So I was kind of shocked, really. I didn't expect to find their past life. And you know, please take it with a grain of salt. This is not written in stone, but this is where my guides led me. So they showed me a past life of Ginni Thomas and Clarence Thomas. Ginni being a right-wing, ultra-right-wing activist, married to Clarence Thomas, who's on our Supreme Court, who I might say is also the same, of the same ilk. As the possible incarnations of Nicholas de la Motte, M-O-T-T-E, and Jeanne de la Motte, formerly Jeanne Belvoise. And I was trying to think of how am I going to do this reading without it taking forever. There's so much on all of these people to get into. And then I thought all I was going to really do is read this article, which I found online regarding Jeanne de la Motte, entitled Noblewoman and Con Artist by, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, it's an Irish name, Karen Corliff. And I will include the link below in the description box because you really should check this out. But actually I'm going to read it. And I'm going to do the best I can. At times I might go off script. Try to get it flowing. It's about maybe 7 pages or something like that. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7. So it's long. I'll try to make it go quicker. But this has everything in it. And what a story. What a story. What is notable about Jean and Nicholas de la Motte? Well, they were the con artists involved in the affair of the diamond necklace. I want to say buckle up, buttercups, because you're in for a bumpy ride with this one. It is fascinating. So in this article, it starts out like this, okay. Nobility in pre-revolutionary France was something of a double-edged sword. Of course, it came with great privilege, and the nobles of France were permitted behavior that was unthinkable for those of the lower classes, but it also came with obligations, and one of the most notable is that it was unthinkable for a noble to earn a living in a trade. As such, there were many people who were rich in name but poor in cash, forced to rely on the charity of the most influential to provide them with official positions and largesse. In that atmosphere of desperation, many were prepared to go to great lengths to get what they felt they were owed, but few went quite as far as Jeanne de la Motte. She was born as Jeanne de Valois Saint-Remy in 1756, a name that was derived directly from her noble lineage. Her father, Jacques, was descended from King Henry II of France, of the House of Valois, and his mistress, Nicole de Savigny. Okay, here, I apologize. I am going to mispronounce a lot of these names. And I am sorry, but I'm going to forge ahead anyway. Even 200 years old and from the wrong side of the blanket, quote unquote, royal blood was more than enough to grant one the status of nobility. Their illegitimate son had been granted the title of Comte de Saint-Remy, a title Jacques still claimed a title he still claimed. Jeanne's mother, Marie, came from less notable stock. She was the maidservant who Jacques got pregnant. This wasn't uncommon, but what was uncommon was that Jacques insisted on marrying her despite her father's protestations. This argument delayed their marriage until 1755, by which time they'd already had 2 children. Jeanne, born a year later, was their first legitimate child. Though Jacques inherited an estate from his father near Bar-sur-Aubonne, the northeast of France, he did not really inherit enough money to maintain it, at least not combined with his constant drunkenness and Marie's spendthrift nature. Jeanne would later, in her autobiography, blame her mother for squandering the inheritance, but this may have been to cover up how little there really was to squander. Visitors to the estate noted how the children had to do farmyard chores and do them barefoot. It was only thanks to the charity of the locals that they survived. When Jeanne was young, Jacques decided to move the family to Paris, where he hoped to find opportunities for a noble like himself. In vain hope, he was reduced to literally begging on the streets. He died in 1762, when Jeanne was only 6 years old. Her mother soon took a new lover and abandoned her 3 surviving children into the care of a charitable local, the Marquise de Boulainvilliers. This proved to be a fortunate occurrence for the children, as the Marquis's wife took a liking to her new foster children. Jeanne would later describe her as her true mother. Luckily for them, one of the things the nobles of France and the rest of the country did not was a social safety net. Once Madame de Boulainvilliers was able to prove their royal lineage, they were entitled to a small annual stipend from the crown. Enough for Jeanne's brother, Jacques, to go into a military academy, and for Jeanne and her sister, Marie-Anne, to attend a boarding school. When they completed their schooling, they were sent into a convent, but Jeanne turned out not to have the monastic temperament. In 1776, she ran away from the convent, taking her little sister with her. She was taken in by the Sermont family. After 4 years in their household, she married a nephew of the household by the name of Nicolas de la Motte. It was a whirlwind romance necessitated by the fact that Jeanne was heavily pregnant when she was married. She herself gave very little details about how she and Nicholas came to get married. And as an aside here, she wrote her autobiography, which I'm sure is still in print later on in her life. So scandalous later rumors implied that she fell pregnant from a lover she could not marry, and swiftly ensnared Nicholas into a marriageable prospect, convincing him that the children were his. Why she could not marry her lover, one might ask? Because, said the rumors, the father was actually the man who officiated her wedding, the Bishop of Langres. Whether this was true or not, it's impossible to say. She gave birth to the twins shortly after the wedding, but they only survived a few days. Infant mortality like that was a cruel fact of life. So Nicolas de la Motte was, according to Jacques-Claude Bognet, homely but a man of splendid physique. Jeanne, on the other hand, was a slim brunette with clear blue eyes and a winning smile. She was chronically unfaithful, of course, as he was. Also, this was only to be accepted. However, her affair with his commanding officer, the Marquis de Autichamp, was a bit too blatant and caused enough of a scandal that Nicholas had to resign from the gendarmerie. His salary hadn't been really enough for the pair to keep them in the standard that they preferred anyway, which may have been why Jeanne had been dallying with his superior. Now deprived of even that, Jeanne and Nicholas were forced to take the same path as many other impoverished nobles, including her mother, head to Paris, throw themselves on the mercy of the royal court. Over the next few years, Jeanne did her best to inveigle her way into the graces of the powers that were at the court, with varying degrees of success. A strategically timed fainting fit saw her becoming acquainted with Madame Elisabeth, the teenage sister of King Louis XVI. She also got into the good graces of the king's sister-in-law, Maria Theresa, the Comtesse of Dartois, and then rapidly back out when the Comtesse thought that Jeanne was getting a bit too friendly with her husband, the Comte. Around this time, Jeanne began to claim for herself the title of Comtesse de la Motte, though she had no entitlement to such a title. She began an affair with another court hanger-on, a childhood friend of her husband called Louis-Marc Antoine Roteau de Villette. Roteau was also a child of minor nobility who now supported himself primarily through the Parisian sex trade. He was a handsome and personable young man, something which he used to both sell himself, to board noble ladies, and to entice girls into working in the brothels of the capital. Jeanne made him her personal secretary, quote unquote. And then in 1783, her old guardian, Madame de Boulainvilliers, made the fateful decision to introduce Jeanne to Cardinal Louis de Rohan. Louis de Rohan was from one of the most notable French families, claiming descent from the kings who had ruled Brittany before the unification of France. He was one of the nobles of the church, heir to the bishopric, which had been in his family's control for generations, and which came with a seat as Prince Elector in the Holy Roman Empire. For him, he was currently on the outs with the royal family, unfortunately, as he had been one of the more vocal opponents of the Austrian alliance, which had sealed the marriage of Louis XVI with Marie Antoinette. Still, he was rich, powerful, and utterly unconcerned with his priestly vows of chastity. In other words, he was exactly the type of patron Jeanne was after. She immediately set herself to becoming his mistress and succeeded. Jeanne's connection with de Rohan paid some immediate dividends for the de la Motte, which Nicholas is receiving a post in the bodyguard of the Comte d'Artois was a result. However, it wasn't enough to satisfy Jeanne. So she decided to turn to fraud. Among his other gifts, her personal secretary, Roteau, was a gifted forger. That helps. And he managed to perfect an imitation of the Queen's handwriting that Jeanne decided to take advantage of. She convinced the cardinal that her friendship with Marie Antoinette was far deeper than it actually was, and she gave him letters forged by Roteau, where the Queen asked the cardinal for loans to supplement the allowance she was given by the king. She managed to get around 120,000 francs out of him, a huge sum at that time. Then she heard about Charles Auguste Baumer and his diamond necklace. Baumer and Bassange, the most exclusive jewelers in Paris, had been commissioned by King Louis XV to create a diamond necklace for his mistress, Madame du Barry. Since this was possibly the most opulent necklace ever made, they had gone deeply into debt in order to buy the stones for the necklace. The disaster had struck when Louis XV died. Before the necklace was complete, the new king had no intention of honoring his father's deal, and of course, there was no way Baumer and Bassange could afford the original contract. They tried to sell the necklace, but they soon realized that only the royal family could afford it. Marie Antoinette, though, made it clear she had no intention of purchasing anything ever intended for a royal mistress. Baumer and Bassange were facing ruin, and they were desperate. Desperate enough to reach out to anyone who might have the Queen's ear, including the Comtesse de la Motte. Jeanne decided to take advantage of that desperation. First, Jeanne spread a rumor meant for the cardinal and Baumer's ears that Marie Antoinette actually desperately wanted the necklace, but was afraid that her husband's disapproval of the extravagance would be elicited if she bought it. This rumor would turn out to have more effect than Jeanne had planned. Next, she had Roteau forge a letter from the Queen of the Cardinal about the necklace. By now, the tone of these letters had become decidedly heated, and the Cardinal was thoroughly convinced that the Queen was in love with him. He begged Jeanne to arrange a secret meeting and decided that this was she decided that this was what she needed to fully bait the trap. Cardinal de Rohan was going to meet the Queen, or so he thought. Jeanne's husband, Nicholas, was acquainted with a prostitute named Marie Nicole Leguay de Liva, who had a strong resemblance to Marie Antoinette. Nicole would later claim that she had not known Nicholas beforehand and that she had been told she was recruited or had been recruited to take part in a practical joke on the cardinal. How true this version is cannot be determined. Nicole was dressed in a white gown, taken into the gardens of the palace at Versailles, where she was approached by the cardinal. She handed him a white rose and said, "You know what this means." In the language of flowers, popular in European courts of the time, a white rose meant, "I am worthy of your affections." She also had a letter instructing him to buy the necklace, but she forgot to hand it over. It didn't matter. The cardinal was on the hook. Beaumère and Bosange were delighted with the cardinal's open negotiations to purchase the necklace on behalf of the queen. A price was agreed at 1,600,000 livres, which is around 11 million euros in modern money. This was going to be paid in installments, and in January of 1785, the cardinal gave them a note for the first installment. He took the necklace back to Jeanne de Motte's house, where a valet of the queen came and took it away. Of course, the valet was nothing but, instead, Nicholas took the necklace to London, where he began to break it up and sell off the stones so as not to flood the market. And that was how they pulled off the biggest con of the 18th century. Like most crime capers, though, the problem came in the follow-through. While the cardinal had covered the down payment of the necklace, he had naturally assumed that the queen would be arranging the later payments, so that was what he had agreed with Beaumère and Bosange. When the money didn't appear 6 months later, as promised, then they went looking for it. They first went to see the cardinal, but he, prompted by more forged letters, gave them the runaround. They had previously written a letter to the queen thanking her for the purchasing of the necklace, and noting that they had not seen her wearing it out yet. And if you can find pictures of this necklace, which you can, I believe one is in the article, included in the article that this author wrote, but you just have to Google, the affair of the diamond necklace. It is the most atrociously ugly thing I have ever seen and must have weighed so much. It's disgusting. But I don't know who. I guess these jewelers must have imagined that, or maybe the King Louis the 15th imagined it, designed it. It is unbelievably ugly. Oh my God. But there was a lot of diamonds on that baby. A lot of bling. So they first went to see the cardinal. Then they wrote to the queen. Just giving you the backstory here again. The queen had tried to find out what was going on. Beaumère approached Henriette Campan, one of Marie Antoinette's ladies in waiting. She was alarmed by the story and took it to the queen. She summoned the jewelers to seek an explanation. And this was when things began to come to light. They gave her a written record of their side of the story and put the Cardinal de Rohan directly in the frame because of it. Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI then confronted the cardinal. Jeanne had expected that the jewelers would approach the cardinal since he was listed as the guarantor of the debt. If they had done so, then he might simply have paid the rest of the balance in order to keep things quiet. It's likely that that's what the letters he received were leading up to, but suggesting he might do. But Beaumère and Bosange, going to the queen, first put an end to that. Things came to a head on the 15th of August. It was the feast day of the Assumption of Mary, and the Cardinal de Rohan was due to officiate a mass attended by the royal family. Instead, he was taken before the king and queen and asked to explain himself. At first, he was confused and explained that he'd been acting on behalf of the queen. He sent for the letter where she had asked him to purchase the necklace and instructed his servant to destroy the rest of the correspondence to avoid complications. When the letter was produced, the king went into a rage. It was signed Marie Antoinette to France, but as anyone in the court should have known, the royals signed their letters with their first names only. This was a clear forgery, and one which a prince of the blood like the cardinal should have recognized. He was sent off to the Bastille, and the investigations began. It didn't take the investigators long to pick up Jeanne's involvement, and she was arrested 3 days after the cardinal. But that was enough time for her to destroy her side of the correspondence. Rateau was also swept up pretty quickly. Nicole took a little longer since she and her new boyfriend, later her husband, had moved to Brussels. But she was also captured and brought back to Paris. Because there was a trial, of course, and Pope Pius officially had objected to this trial, as he said that a churchman could only be tried by the church, but he was ignored. Unusually, it was a public one, since the reputation of the Queen had been impunged. The King decided that this should all be resolved out in public to clear her reputation. The trial took place in January of 1786. It was hugely popular with the public. It was a big sensation. All of the principals gave their testimony, with Jeanne still insisting that she had been following the Queen's orders. All of the others gave their versions of the events, but it was Rateau de Villette who was the star witness for the prosecution. He made a deal and gave a full account of what had happened, one which made it clear exactly what had been going on and that the Queen herself had nothing to do with it. As a result, Nicole was released as an innocent dupe, while Rateau himself was simply sentenced to exile. The cardinal was originally ordered to publicly apologize, presuming that the Queen would meet him at the gardens at midnight, but this was eventually voted down and he was acquitted. The implications meant that the Queen would have met him at the gardens at midnight, and this was lost on nobody. In the end, all the blame was placed on the de la Motte. That was the official verdict, at least, and it was one that most historians agree with. The public, though, came to a very different conclusion. The rumor that Jeanne had planted the Queen, the rumor that that Jeanne had planted, which was that the Queen did actually want the necklace, was resurrected, and the general opinion was that the cardinal had been used to satisfy the Queen's extravagance, and then hung out to dry in order to punish him for opposing the royal marriage. This was backed up by the fact that he was exonerated of wrongdoing. But even so, he was still exiled from Paris. But the result was that the Queen, already deeply unpopular because she was Austrian, and the French people had a deeply held prejudice against the Austrians, became utterly vilified. The blow this caused to the prestige of the monarchy was a large part of the shift in the mentality which would lead to the French Revolution. At the conclusion of the trial, Nicolas de la Motte was still hiding out in London. He was sentenced in absentia, flogged, branded, and then was sent to serve life in the galleys. Jeanne de la Motte was sentenced to be publicly whipped and branded as a thief with the letter V for voleuse before being imprisoned for life. The sentence took place in June of 1786. Around a month before her 30th birthday, the public audience was largely sympathetic to Jeanne, who had believed she was simply a pawn sacrificed by the evil Queen. Jeanne herself only found out about her sentence in the morning it had been carried out, and fought every inch of the way as she was stripped, flogged, and then branded with hot irons. In fact, she struggled so much that the executioner botched the branding. Rather than being branded on each shoulder, instead, it ended up on her chest. This further incensed the crowd, and she was swiftly bundled off to the prison for desolate women. So the guides gave me the card that represents both couples, and this is the lovers. And then they also gave me a clarifying card, two actually. One is Ten of Pentacles, and the other is Judgment. So they say what these cards mean is that this relationship is karmic. They've had more than these two lives together, maybe as much as two other ones, and these incarnations somehow are threaded through with this Ten of Pentacles, with this desire for money, for power, for material possessions, and that this current one is also continuing to involve these elements. And above the Five of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. And so this is the narcissist who is driven by their desire for wealth and power. In the past, they gave me both the Seven of Swords and the Knight of Swords. And they say this is about the aggressive use of force to secure power and wealth by any means necessary. And also, this card also indicating like this feeling that they're entitled to it beyond the law of man, that this is somehow divinely given to them. And so you see, I don't know if you can see that the sword has this glint, and it's like a cross. So this is, I believe, for the Mottes, that they are royally entitled to power and wealth by any means necessary. And for Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas, this is by God. And I believe that the royals did believe that they were anointed by God to be royalty, that this was some kind of divine gift that was given to them. Below is the Tower. Here it is. And so this is these couples both being involved in insurrections somehow. So for Jeanne and Nicholas, this is their grift, their crime, their swindle that sets off or anchors or triggers the French Revolution. In other words, there's enough discontent about Marie Antoinette, and so now this story of and this lie, the big lie, right, of that time, that Marie Antoinette really wanted that necklace and that extravagance, and then to cover up her own greed, she throws all of it on, all the guilt on the cardinal, and the cardinal's really innocent, and that becomes a belief. And I do believe that the fomenters of the revolution, just like the fomenters of the revolution against the American government, the insurrection, are using that intentionally, spreading those rumors like QAnon, because they are using it to fulfill their desire to topple the monarchy. And of course, you know, Ginny Thomas and Clarence Thomas too in the background, doubling down on the big lie, fomenting hatred and anger based on this information to inspire a coup amongst the common people, you know, to topple the capital, to bring down the American government. But again, this card has a double meaning. The person says, or the conspirators set off to do that, but then they are hoisted by their own petard, or they fall out of their own towers. In the future, the Justice card comes up, and this card, you know, we're already waiting to see Ginny Thomas testify in front of the January 6th commission, which we believe she's going to do. Involvement in organizing this revolution, organizing this illegal coup, and also turning its eyes to Justice Thomas and his possible involvement with his wife. And I do believe that impeachment trials are going to come up for a lot of those Supreme Court justices, especially the ones who lied about Roe versus Wade, that they would respect and uphold established constitutional law, and then of course they did not. But here justice is coming, and justice came for Jeanne de Motte and Nicholas de Motte. They had their day in court, and there were consequences. They were both exiled. The clarifying card for this reading is the Devil. So the Devil oversees all of this, and this is inspired by sheer evil. And the card of the ultimate narcissist. These couples both had that dark energy and that intent. The outcome card here is the Ten of Swords, and this is the Motte's ending in exile, and then Jeanne's demise, jumping out a window and breaking many bones and dying that way. And although Nicholas, I believe, lived till I think his 90s or something, but still there were consequences to their crime, and there will be consequences to Thomas and or Clarence Thomas and Ginni Thomas, and some kind of ruinous consequence that's going to rain down on them. And this is something the public is going to watch. And we were already hooked into the January 6th Commission trials, and there's going to be more. There's a lot more coming out, and I think I'm going to ask my guides a little bit more about this reading. Is there anything they want to say? I'm just using my pendulum. They're saying that Ginni Thomas, so much criming here. I don't know if she would end up in jail, but there's a heavy consequence for her in her involvement, and it could lead to Clarence Thomas being impeached. Like somehow her involvement the threads lead to Clarence Thomas, and then that is really his downfall. And then they are living in infamy. They're still highly lauded by the Federalist Society, etc., but their days of criming in such a large way are over, and what they did is equal to or larger even than what the Mottes did with their swindle of the diamond necklace. It's the same, though. Whatever's going on, this any means necessary, and grifting and lying, and just the narcissism of it all, and the psychopathy or sociopathy of it all is just mind-boggling. That's what the guides say. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Again, you guys asked for it, and I actually was wanting to do it too. I was interested, but when I found it out, I should say, and then I apologize because there's only like 1 or 2 pictures of Nicholas de Motte, but there's lots of portraits, of course, of Jeanne de Motte. You can see the similarities, I think. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think. Please leave your comments in the box, the comment section below the video. I will leave the link to this story in the description box. My information is also there in the description box below this video. And at the end of our musical interlude, I, at this point, want to say I'm still available for personal readings, past, present, and future. I am a medium. I read on past lives, and I love to introduce you to your guardian angels. Let's get ready for our oracle card. Oracle card we have today is from the Messenger Oracle deck by Ravynne Phelan, and it is Embrace Spirit. You are a spiritual being living in a physical body and having a physical life. Embrace spirit in your journey and reaffirm your connection with the divine. Fly to the heavens, but remember to look down and see that the divine exists in the magical natural world beneath you. Spirit dwells within all, in everything you are and know, and everything that you do not see and which is unknown. Both the creative and the destructive, the beautiful and the ugly are born out of the divine. Embrace spirit. I know you guys are probably just wiped out from the recent overturning of Roe versus Wade, but we got to galvanize. We've got to ground ourselves, we've got to center ourselves, and we've got to move into action to secure a blue House and blue Senate that can bring us the possibility of impeachment that's successful, of codifying Roe versus Wade into law, protecting our privacy rights, all of that. It's only possible if we have a fully democratic government, because they will do that. So don't be passive and feel like you're giving up and nothing matters. Everything matters. This is probably the time when it matters as much, or if not more than it mattered in 2020 when we got Biden in. So vote like your life depends on it, because it does. I love you. Take care. I will be back next week with Linda G, who's going to be a guest on my show July the 3rd. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. I love you. Take care. See you later, guys. Okay? Bye-bye.